play the Milwaukee Brewers. Friday Night Baseball presented by Jeep. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com today. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit Geico.com for a free rate quote. By the New York Lottery, play cash for life from the New York Lottery with a top prize of $1,000 every day for life. And by Cadillac. Mets return home tonight in search of some wins and in search of some offense. Mets have been struggling to score runs, struggling to catch the ball. It's always time, though, to make some new fans. Always obliging. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, Keith's mustache, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets open a 3-game series against the Milwaukee Brewers. The Mets come from Chicago, where they just got swept in a 4-game series. The last 16 games, the Mets have had 12 games where they've scored 3 runs or fewer. Now, you've been watching from afar the last week. What have you seen?
Well, it's a team, ironically, we're back at Citi Field where the Mets are 13-3. They brought the fences in. The Mets aren't hitting home runs. The guy that I think is really struggling the most that I've seen over this week, last road trip, is Michael Kadire. And here's a guy, a batting champion at Colorado, 15 years in the big leagues, .291 lifetime batting average coming into the game. A guy hits 20 home runs more than a few times in his career. There are things that are expected of him, and he looks like he's a bit lost in a deep slump. Now, the good thing about Kadire is he's been through this before, and when good hitters break out, they break out hot. Now, there's 3 other hitters that I think are doing the same thing. They're doing getting under the ball too much, and that's Duda, Flores, and Herrera. Herrera's taking very good swings, but these guys are getting up on the pitches upstairs. They're kind of dropping their back shoulder, and they're hitting the ball too much in the air. They need to hit line drives. Murph needs to get hot. Lagares is back in the lineup tonight. He's been the big hitter for this lineup, so that's a big boost for this ball club.
Mets scored 5 runs yesterday in Chicago, hit 3 home runs. Maybe that's a better sign of things to come. On the mound tonight, Bartolo Colon, and I don't know what you can say about Bart right now. Less than 2 weeks shy of his 42nd birthday, he's been a phenomenon.
He has become a phenomenon, and everyone talks about 2 things. They talk how big he is, and they talk how old he is. Well, you know old means? It means experience, and his experience has been so great for the Mets this season with those 6 wins. And you know what big is? Big, he's got a big heart and courage and guts, and he's a guy that goes right after hitters. And the greatest thing that he has, greatest weapon, is that he repeats movement over and over again. He's a guy that repeats his mechanics. The ball goes where he wants to, and it's fun to watch.
Well, the Brewers tonight will have experience on the mound as well, but Kyle Loesch not off to such a good start.
He's got 144 wins, so this is an accomplished major league pitcher, but he cannot keep the ball in the ballpark. Mets hit 3 runs last night. Yesterday afternoon, maybe they can do it today.
So the Mets come home hoping that their home ballpark will provide them with some comfort. It's the Mets and Brewers. All the action coming your way tonight right here on SNY. Site DraftKings is giving out New York Mets suite tickets exclusively for SNY viewers. Head to DraftKings.com/SNY for details. That's DraftKings.com/SNY. Time to vote for your Mets All-Stars. You can vote up to 35 times on the 2015 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot at Mets.com. Voting is exclusively online and available on your computer, tablet, and smartphone. Vote at Mets.com now. Here are your National League win leaders, presented by DraftKings. Bartolo Colon all by his lonesome at the top. He's tied with Felix Hernandez for the Major League lead in wins, and he can take it over all by himself tonight if he can get a victory over the Milwaukee Brewers. Bart making his way in. You want to help him with that jacket, Johnny? Mets and Brewers, first pitch is coming right up. Shortstop Gene Segura on the disabled list. Hector Gomez filling in for him. No relation to Carlos Gomez, the former Met, who's trying to come back from a couple of injuries this year. It's been a rough go for the Brewers, who are last in the National League in batting average and last in on-base percentage.
Well, Bartolo Colon, there's the Jeep numbers for him this year, just off the charts. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. 1 walk, 40 strikeouts. Has a chance in this game tonight to overtake the Mets franchise record. Saberhagen, 47 2/3.
Carlos Gomez acknowledging Colon as he steps in. First pitch of the night from Bartolo is hit on the ground to third. Daniel Murphy has it on 2 hops, and on 1 pitch, Bartolo Colon has the first out of the night.
Well, this is a very aggressive hitting ball club, and we'll take a quick look at your, I'll have to say it, I've been gone. The lovable Metsies defense. You got Garris, missed 3 games back in the lineup. The Gold is back in center field. Flores having his troubles at short. Murphy, Tejada in the lineup today. Herrera scratched with a little fingernail issue, and Manel gets his first start for the Mets.
First start in the major leagues for Johnny Manel, who got a very adventurous inning behind the plate in Chicago. Here's Gerardo Parra, the former Diamondback, takes a strike. Parra hitting at .293. Picked up last year at the trading deadline from Arizona. He's been hot with the bat, hitting .419 over his last 17 games. This is a Milwaukee team that attacks. They don't draw a lot of walks. They hit home runs, and they've been hitting more home runs since Craig Counsell took over as manager, coincidentally enough.
Well, if you're a sabermetrics guy, they're last in on-base percentage. That's not going to go well.
Parra pops one up. In comes Kadire to call, and that's the second out. Well, the Brewers were 7-18 when they made their managerial change, firing Ron Renneke and hiring Craig Counsell, who had never coached or managed at any professional level. He had been working in the front office.
We just see that happen all the time. Matheny, Osmus, Kevin Cash, on and on and on. That is the way it's going.
Well, here's Ryan Braun. Braun hitting just .248.
I mean, think about it. It's the only job in the world. You come in and you sit down and say, do you have any experience? None. You're our guy.
Counsell is a Wisconsin native, grew up in Whitefish Bay. He played for the Brewers, very popular player. And hoping to resurrect a team that last year, first half of the year, looked like they were going to run away with things in the National League Central. Then they collapsed and got off to a terrible start this year. And that's when they finally pulled the plug and brought in Counsell. Cologne strikes out Braun on 3 pitches. Cologne throws 7 strikes, gets 3 outs, making it look awfully easy. Mets come to bat in the bottom of the first, no score. Juan Lagares back in after missing 3 games. Johnny Manel makes his first major league start behind the plate. Ruben Tejada was in the lineup, out of the lineup, back in the lineup when Dilson Herrera tore a fingernail during batting practice, so he's playing second base against the veteran Kyle Loesch.
Sorry, Gary, the nightmare start in these Toyota numbers for Kyle Loesch. ERA 7.03. When he's going well, he is a ground ball master, but he's given up all the home runs. They've been hitting the ball in the air off him.
Curtis Granderson has great career numbers against Loesch. And Granderson takes a fastball for a strike. Curtis 8 for 17 with 2 home runs in his career against Kyle Loesch, who pitched the start of his career in the American League with Minnesota.
36 years old, Loesch. He's been around, and I kind of think he's a little bit like the Rodney Dangerfield of starting pitchers. He's had some nice seasons, but he's bounced around.
Well, his best year was with the Cardinals in 2012. He went 16-3, 2.86. That's when the Brewers signed him to a 3-year deal, and he had a good year for them last year. Last year, 13-9, 3.54.
Well, he started that comeback when he went to the Dave Duncan Pitcher Rescue Foundation. A little tutelage under him, and then he was fine.
I'm sure that wasn't a slush fund.
And Granderson takes the call, third strike for the first out.
And we'll take a quick look at your Coors Light Brew Crew defense. Got 2 Gold Glovers out there in power. He's 1-2, and Gomez, of course, is 1-1, former Met. Hector Gomez, keep an eye on him at short. He's the guy in that big Gallardo trade, came over from Texas. They love him, and he's been red hot. And of course, with Lucroy hurt, Maldonado's been getting most of the catching duties.
So here's Lagares, who sat out 3 days with a strain under his right armpit that he suffered making a diving catch a week ago. And the feeling is that it's all a matter of pain tolerance for Juan, not a matter of him risking re-injuring that side. And he holds the swing on the slider away, and it's 1-1. Loesch, now 36 years old, from Chico, California. Originally drafted by the Cubs back in '96. Lagares shoots one foul, 1-2.
So Juan has been the most consistent hitter for the Mets thus far this season. Daniel Murphy is usually the one that's most consistent, and Daniel's had a tough time getting started. He's been hitting lately.
Lucas Duda on deck. And Loesch dents the outside corner with a fastball. Back-to-back call, third strikes. Manny Gonzalez, the home plate umpire. And the Mets have 2 out.
It's a younger version of Colon pitching so far. 2 strikes, bringing that fastball back over the outside corner and on the knee.
That's paint. And one thing that Loesch has been doing this year is not walking people as usual. Only 9 walks in his 39 2/3 coming in.
Here's Duda, who's hit in 5 straight games, 8 for 19 in the 5 games. And the curveball from Loesch misses. Brewers put on the full shift against Lucas.
How many times you come into a game with 9 walks and you have 9 times more than the pitcher you're facing? I mean, that doesn't happen too often.
Well, Colon's just outrageous.
Chico.
Chico State.
And the man.
Best party school in the world.
Oh, baby, you got that right.
Now, how do you both know that?
I know that because it's a California school.
It's called road trip, Gary. No, I'm only kidding.
It's a long road trip.
And it's
I mean, I can see from somewhere in Northern California, but from New Haven.
My dad said to me, "You're not going to Chico State, Keith."
2-1 to Duda. And Lucas gets one in the air to center. Gomez ranging back, has plenty of room. And puts it away to retire the side. Might see a little style between Gomez and Lagares tonight. They're pretty good friends. The cotton candy, the bow.
You got to go with the tongue to get it off the top lip. Nice.
Adam Lynn leads off in the second inning and takes a strike. Bartolo Colon has yet to throw a non-strike tonight. Lynn, 9 years in Toronto in the National League for the first time, and he's been the Brewers' most consistent hitter early in the season. .391 on base percentage, .544 slugging percentage.
Home run guy over in Toronto. There's Aramis Ramirez. Back off the DL.
9 pitches, 9 strikes for Colon to start his night. And just misses away, 1-2. So Colon, 40 strikeouts and 1 walk. He's the first pitcher in modern baseball history to strike out 40 before his second walk. We're going back to 1900. Never happened before. Lynn hits it out to center. A long run back for Lagares. It's going to be over his head and short hopping the wall. And Lynn goes to second base with a leadoff double.
Wants to come inside. Oh, he kind of leaves a little lazy slider over the outer half.
I think he wanted to come down and in with a slider.
Just kind of didn't do much, and Lynn rips it.
It's interesting. Lagares plays so shallow. The only way to beat him is with a line drive. You can't beat him with a fly ball.
So here's Aramis Ramirez. He sat out the last 6 games with a sore back and was struggling before he went out, hitting just .230. And he takes a strike from Colon.
They had a lot of talk in spring training about Ramirez, and they said even if he was 100%, they were going to pick spots for him to try to keep him healthy for the whole season.
36 years old, 372 career home runs, lifetime .285 hitter. And he smashes one toward left center. Kadyr's not going to get there, and the Brewers will get on the scoreboard. Lynn comes in to score. Ramirez to second. Back-to-back doubles for the Brewers against Colon, and it's 1-0 Milwaukee. So Ramirez misses 6 games. Second pitch he sees. He smacks an RBI double.
Ball down, out over the plate. Middle in, belt high up. And you got to be very careful with Ramirez. Don't let him extend his hands.
Those usually lead the ballpark.
Lynn didn't do a very good job of rounding third base, did he?
No.
He's like had the base circled.
Well, he got where he needed to go. So now Scooter Gennett bats with Ramirez at second and nobody out. And Gennett takes a strike.
Well, you want him not sure it's over his head. Okay, he's sure. Where's third base? Oh, there it is.
He's laughing as he goes by. He lost where he was.
What did Bill Bradley say? A sense of where you are? 0-2 to Scooter Gennett. The Brewers have had a couple of injuries to have to cope with this year. The strangest one was Gennett's. He cut up his left hand in the shower in the visiting clubhouse at PNC Park in Pittsburgh.
Whatever.
That never happened to me.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Hadn't heard about that one before.
Good one though.
So that cost him a couple of weeks. And Gennett, who had a really good year for Milwaukee last year, hit .289, hitting just .182 in this early season. I mean, you look up and down this Brewers roster and you see people underperforming their career numbers.
We were giving all the numbers for Ramirez, who it's underappreciated when you think about the career he's had. It's his 491st double.
A lot of RBIs.
And Gennett strikes out. Second strikeout for Colon, and that's the first out of the inning.
Fastball down away, under it.
That's 42 strikeouts and 1 walk. So Colon has the first out here in the second. Now Martin Maldonado, the catcher, hitting 7th in the order. The pitcher, Loesch, hits 8th. So you got first base open here and the pitcher on deck. Maldonado getting the bulk of the playing time behind the plate because Jonathan Lucroy, who's the Brewers' best player, is on the disabled list and has been all season with a toe injury. And it's a bad toe injury. He fractured that toe right along the length of his big toe. You see Colon this year, the first man ever to go 6 straight starts without walking a batter.
You know, and think about a catcher having to squat every pitch when you've got a fractured toe. That's not recommended.
Maldonado, who was a pretty good backup to Lucroy, has really struggled in the starter's role.
You see that happen a lot, don't you? The backups are good because they play once a week.
Well, he had a terrific year last year.
And that doubles there, that's a Major League Baseball record for doubles by a catcher.
1-2 to Maldonado, and he lifts one to shallow right. Granderson in, and that's the second out. You know, when the Brewers were riding high early last season, there was talk about Lucroy as a possible most valuable player. And of course, the Brewers faded, and so did Lucroy's MVP chances. But it gives you an idea how highly regarded he's become.
I mean, they're in first place for almost 5 months, right?
Now Kyle Loesch, 2 for 12 on the season, lifetime 147 hitter.
Can hit a little bit, so you got to be careful.
This is the first time Colon and Loesch have ever faced each other in a National League game. But going way back, they had 4 starts against each other in the American League, the last one in 2003, 12 years ago. Back when Loesch was with the Twins and Colon with the Indians and the White Sox. So it's the first time either one's ever faced each other from the batter's box. The number 9 hitter Hector Gomez, the shortstop, is on deck.
See whether sorry.
Hector, not Carlos, on deck. To Gomez. Slap to the right side. Oh. Beautiful stop by Tejada, and he throws him out. Ruben Tejada saving a run with a beautiful diving play. And he made some great plays at third base yesterday. And a gorgeous one on a ball hit by him at second base to save a run tonight. Brewers at 7:10. The first 15,000 fans will receive a Mets fedora, courtesy of Sector Spider. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. I believe we'll be modeling those fedoras later tonight.
There's no way. I already tried.
Michael Kadire hits one out to center field, and Carlos Gomez is right there to grab it. I'm not saying we have to model them on our heads, but we can hold them up so that the
I mean, it doesn't fit me. It doesn't fit me. So there's nothing I can
Keith,
do.
would you try on the fedora?
I think it would look much better on you, Gary.
No. I don't do hats.
Neither do I. I've never been big on.
So you know what? Our stage manager Russ
He looks great. We'll have him.
Fantastic in the fedora.
Okay,
so
we'll bring him.
We'll have him be the hat model.
Get the bar stool, Russ.
That will not be given away at Citi Field tonight.
You never know.
Maybe in some future incarnation of a giveaway.
We got a couch up here. Come and lay down. We'll talk to you.
Daniel Murphy takes the strike. Murph 5 for 8 over the last 3 games. That's his batting average up to .250 for the year. And Loesch misses with a curveball, 1-1.
Everybody is decked out tonight, Friday night.
It's a headgear theme.
Cheese head, yep.
Imported from Milwaukee. Change up outside, 2-1 to Murph. Maldonado setting up outside, and Murphy goes down swinging on the slider, or excuse me, second strike, 2-2.
Little slider right here on the back door. Up. Whoa!
Murphy's back goes flying.
A little more pine tar.
There's a slugger. There's a slugger.
Ball went one way, bat went the other.
What was it in Chicago? Miguel Montero got it, what, 20 rows back?
Easily. Wilmer Flores on deck. 2-2 from Loesch, and Murphy fouls it away.
Murph needs to get some pine tar. He's allowed. Yeah, you don't want, if that bat slipped out of your hand, you don't want taking another swing up there with your hands slick on that, on your grip.
Now that's not pine tar. That's that other.
That's
stuff.
the Manny Mota stick. Manny Mota, the hitting coach for the Dodgers, not anymore.
Great pinch hitter.
Great pinch hitter for the Pirates in the 60s and the Dodgers when we played, Ron. He developed that stick.
Is that like the Lester Hayes stickum?
It's kind of like that.
I kind of was a Fred Blitnikoff guy, you know. I like the pine tar.
Except Murph probably now will get a letter because of patient game initiatives, because he went over there and got some pine tar.
8th pitch of the at bat from Loesch to Murphy, and Murph lifts one to center. Gomez with plenty of room. 2 out.
You know, it's interesting. Both these center fielders, Gold Glovers, both are unbelievable athletes, but they play center field differently. Gomez plays much deeper and likes to get the ball and rob home runs, much like Mike Trout does in the American League. And Lagares is just the opposite. He's from the school of Paul Blair, guys we saw when we were kids, who played very, very shallow, Andrew Young, and try to steal base hits.
And I think Gomez is also more stylish, whereas Lagares is more workmanlike in his approach.
Agreed.
And the interesting thing about that is they are terrific friends. They're from the same part of the Dominican, and they've been working out together for years and trading trade secrets, and very different personalities and very different styles, but very good friends. Flores lofts one down the line. Foul.
That's the best point you made right there, Gary. A lot of times guys play like their personalities, because at some point you want to be comfortable out on the field, and whoever you are inside sometimes comes out in the way you play on the field.
Flores hits one tower to right center field. Over in the gap goes Braun. Makes the dive and makes a great catch. Wow. Ryan Braun with a tremendous backhand diving catch to take an extra base hit away from Wilmer Flores. He might have outshone the Gold Glovers out there tonight.
Doesn't get any better than that. Nice play.
That ball was behind him. That's superlative.
No one got more excited than Carlos Gomez, the center fielder who jumped up and down after that catch.
1-0 Milwaukee after 2.
Let's do it. Do it.
Hector Gomez leading off the 3rd inning against Bartolo Colon. Takes a slider off the plate. Oh, this is Ryan Braun in action.
Well, just a terrific effort. You can just see laid out for this one, and go. That's terrific.
He knows from defense. 2-1 to Gomez, 27-year-old Dominican who originally signed with Colorado. He's had cups of coffee with the Rockies and the Brewers. 58 at bats this year. Filling in first for Jeanette and now for Segura.
A little tardy.
The Brewers today called up a young infielder, Luis Sardinas, who they got from Texas in the Giovanni Gallardo trade. He's just 21 years old, and he may well be playing a lot of shortstop for the Brewers in the coming days. To Gomez, and he bounces one foul.
Yeah, and I stand corrected on that defense when I highlighted Hector Gomez here as Sardinia. Mistake, my mistake as usual. I've been away for 10 days. Give me a break.
You said we should grade you on the curve. Tough play if it stays fair. And Manel picks it up in foul ground.
Well, it's that play right there. The ball hits that lip of the grass, and that usually will push it foul.
I always remember when we played the lip of the grass to the foul line. There was always about 6 inches, maybe more. Now when it falls off that grass edge, there's nowhere for it to go.
And for you kids right there, notice that Manel, once that ball was in foul territory, he put his hand on it, because now it's dead and it's foul. You never know, that ball might hit a divot and come back in fair territory, and then it's a fair ball. So heads up. I mean, it's baseball 101, but for all you little 8-year-olds out there, put that in your back pocket.
Lenny Randle would like you to know you can also blow the ball foul.
A leader.
I remember that.
A leader of young people. That's what I always think, Keith.
Tapped over the mound. Flores near the bag, has to hurry. And the wide throw. Duda can't make the tag. We'll see how they score that one, but another errant throw by Wilmer Flores.
And I'm not so sure this ball was off the bag that much for Lucas to come off the bag. Let's take a peek. Definitely not. It's not good footwork right there by Lucas.
You think he could have reached that with his foot on the bag?
With a good stretch, a possibility. And the ball did run inside the line. It's a little difficult for me to say definitively, but that's got to be an E6, right?
Yep, they have charged an error to Flores, and that is his 9th and his 2nd in the last 2 days. So a leadoff base runner for the Brewers, and now Carlos Gomez, who grounded out to third base his first time up.
Well, there you go. There's an aggressive hitter right there, numero uno.
Well, he swung at the first pitch his first at bat and grounded out to third base. He's only drawn 1 walk this year, 72 official at bats. And he goes after the first one and drives it toward the gap, and that's going to be up against the wall in the ballpark. Hector Gomez being waved home. He'll score without a throw. Carlos Gomez with an RBI double, and it's 2-0 Milwaukee. So the Brewers cash in on the error as quickly as you can blink.
I thought they were going to have a play on Hector Gomez. First, a great hitting by Gomez, so aggressive as we saw. Watch Lugares. Does he double clutch, Keith?
Well, Gomez turns it on here running. I agree with you. I thought, but all of a sudden he kicked it into gear. One little double clutch, but I think he had it.
My bad.
You know, my feeling is anything in the gap, if you've got above average speed, a line drive in the gap, you should score from first base.
So 3 doubles for the Brewers against Cologne and a 2-0 lead. And now Gerardo Parra takes a strike. Parra flying to left his first time up.
Well, this ball was scalded around, what, 3 feet from being a home run. That was on a line. Good power from Gomez.
Out to right field. That should advance the runner. Back goes Granderson. He got fooled by it, and it's over his head. Gomez to third. He's being waved home. Tejada will not make a throw. It'll probably be scored another double. But a ball that Granderson certainly should have caught. 3-0 Milwaukee.
Really misjudged here. Remember, Granderson played center field in Chicago. And here he is back in right field in a little deeper ballpark. And he clearly misjudged this. Want to get halfway. He's going to tag up right there. That's right. It was nobody out. He did the right thing.
Unless you can run like that.
Right. So you got to make sure you're there to tag up and advance to third with nobody out.
So the Mets defense continues to provide openings for the opposition. 3-0 Milwaukee. And now Ryan Braun, who made that fabulous catch a moment ago, struck out looking his first time up. And the curveball drill deep left field. Forget that. That is way out of here. Ryan Braun hits one on the second deck. His 7th home run of the year, a 2-run shot, and the Brewers pummeling Cologne. It's now 5-0 Milwaukee. A prodigious blast by Ryan Braun.
You know what's ironic about this Milwaukee team that doesn't walk, bat on base percentage, loves to be aggressive and swing the bat? Who are they facing? Bartolo Colon, who does not walk anybody and throws strike after strike after strike. There's a hanging slider.
Oh, it sure is.
It sits right in the middle of the plate.
And there's the key. Don't rush out and get it. Hit it up at the plate. And no doubt.
Well, Braun has not been nearly the slugger that he was before his suspension in 2013, but this is about as far as he's ever hit one.
Well, this was on a tee for him, and you still got to hit it, and he certainly did.
And that looked like the swing he had in 2011
when he won the MVP in the National League. Adam Lynn got the whole thing started for the Brewers in the 2nd inning with a long double to left center. Well, the Brewers, who are built to be a power hitting team, they play in a good home run hitting ballpark at Miller Park, and now they are hitting home runs. Tonight they have 5 hits, 4 doubles, and that 1 home run. 1-2 to Lynn with Aramis Ramirez on deck.
Those numbers are coming into tonight. You can add that home run here by Braun in their 16th game in the last 16 games.
Well, you feel a little bit for Flores. You read his quotes in the paper about the error he made, and he said, I hope when you make an error that doesn't hurt us. And here he is again making an error to start the inning, and it's just another big inning.
It is, but
it's not his fault.
It's 5 extra base hits in 3 innings.
Exactly.
With nobody out.
One of them he might put on Granderson, but the other 4 have all been legit. One and 2 to Lind. To his right, Tejada on the back end, and he throws out Lind for the first out of the inning.
Well, it's not like we haven't seen this before. Bartolo last season, every once in a while, it doesn't happen very often, but when he will get hit, he'll have those games where every hitter is hitting the ball on the nose.
We had that game in Anaheim last year early in the season. That was the starkest example.
From a hitter's point of view, Gary Ron, when you're facing a pitcher that's not overpowering and he doesn't have his stuff and he makes mistakes over the plate, you can't afford to.
That's lined into center field, a base hit for Ramirez, and he's 2 for 2. That's the first single for the Brewers tonight after 5 extra base hits.
The other thing you have to throw into this equation after Ramirez hits this bullet is that you're talking about your own ball club that's been starved to get score runs, so sometimes you have to pull the plug early on a pitcher, even with his 6-1 record.
And as you say that, some motion in the Mets bullpen as Sean Gilmartin's going to get a baseball and start to throw. Now Scooter Gennett with 1 out and 1 on. And he hits one in the air to right. Granderson appears to have this one lined up. And that's the second out. The Brewers continuing to be aggressive with Colon, who's already given up more runs this year than he has in any start.
There are a lot of first ball hitting here, and you think a guy like Colon would feast on an aggressive team like this, but this is a veteran ball club with veteran hitters, so they're not just swinging at anything. If they see something to their liking first pitch, Gary, they're going to be hacking.
So now Martin Maldonado, who flied to right his first time up, and he swings at the first one and flies it out to left. Kadire toward the line, and that retires the side, but the Brewers put up a 4 spot in the 3rd inning. An error, a couple of doubles, and then Ryan Braun hits one out of sight. I mean, a long way. 5-0 Brewers in the 3rd. fewest walks in a single season with a minimum of 200 innings. All right, that takes the Saberhagen season out because he didn't throw 200 innings that year.
Okay.
Well, here's Johnny Manel making his first major league start today. 8 at bats with the Giants 2 years ago, but never started a game. So this is his maiden voyage, and so far not so good. Catching Cologne, they've given up 5 runs.
Well, he had a terrific spring training, hit with power.
He's had some good at bats as a pinch hitter.
He is a fastball hitter and a very dangerous hitter with power. He pulls the ball. He's looking for dead red to rip.
Middle of the plate in, and he can hit the ball up a little bit too.
And Loesch gets him on the back door. 3 pitches and sit down. 3rd strikeout for Loesch.
Well, everything away from Johnny Manel. 0-2, and he drops a little backdoor slider on you.
Every once in a while you get a pitcher who has gotten off to a horrible start, Corey Kluber, and they know that they need a good one. And the veteran guys that have done it, have been through the wars, they get it done. And Loesch early on looks sharp.
He's retired 7 in a row, 3 strikeouts and 4 fly balls, and now Ruben Tejada takes a strike.
As opposed to he is a strike thrower also. The Mets, though, not as aggressive as the Brewers.
I mean, this game is far from over. I just kind of sense in this crowd a little bit of concern from the Met fans here. You know, what do I know? I'm not Karnak, but that's my feeling.
We can get you a letter that you can rip and blow open.
I mean, it's a long way to go. The Mets could come back and win this ball game, but I just sense a little concern from the diehards here.
Well, the Mets began the year 13-3. They are 7-12 since. Slow ground ball for Gomez. Shows off a good arm, and off the bag comes Lind, and Tejada is safe. Well, he's got a strong arm, but not accurate with that throw, and it's an error on the shortstop, Hector Gomez.
Well, there's a lot of youthful mistakes. A lot of guys who have strong arms like to show it off. And really a routine play as you become more experienced. You don't have to throw it that hard.
If Lynn gets that foot on the outside part of the bag, maybe he doesn't have to come off the bag. Again, you know, not blaming Adam Lynn because it's not a good throw, but those are the, you know, that's baseball when you get the graduate degree. You do those kind of things.
So the Mets have their first base runner of the night on an error, and Cologne will go up there to try to bunt. Bartolo has 1 hit and 1 sacrifice so far this year. I have to say the entertainment value of the Cologne at bat goes down when he's given up 5 runs.
Yes, it does.
Well, he's bunting too.
Well, that could be entertaining. Gets the job done. 1-3 on the sacrifice. Tejada the second.
I'm very disappointed that he lets go of the bat now. That was a big part of his game. I don't know why that's gone by the wayside.
Well, maybe he can get it back, kind of like Keith reacquiring the mustache.
I think he should bounce it back to himself as he's on his way down there. Get something going.
Well,
so Keith, when you got the mustache shaved off a couple of years ago, you said it was never coming back.
Right.
Here you are.
I am not a hockey fan, but when the Rangers were down 3-1, I started. I said, I like a team that comes back 3-1 down in the best of 7. So I grew the mustache. They won. So I kept it. So I'm going to keep with the mustache through the Rangers playoffs as they go forward.
So instead of the hockey beard, you went with just a hockey stash because of you and its iconic nature.
Well, I don't know about that, but you know, I've had it. It's coming back. Look, it's all gray.
That's the first time I've recognized you in like 3 years when I came into.
Well, I would say Keith's mustache is at least as big a part of the sporting scene as the Stanley Cup.
Oh yes, that's right. That was a nice come from behind by those Rangers, wasn't it?
Amazing.
They cause a lot of agita. Loesch behind on Granderson 3-0 with Lagares on deck.
So that was they did it last year too. No other team has done that. So the Rangers are
yeah, Pittsburgh last year, Capitals this year.
Right.
Well, he pours one in there, and that was surprising because Granderson loves to hit 3-0. But you know who knows the numbers as well as Grandy against Loesch? Kyle Loesch.
Right. Also less likely to swing 3-0 with his team down 5 runs, wouldn't you think? And there's ball 4, and Granderson draws another walk, his 23rd of the year. First one given up by Loesch tonight. And now 2 on for Lagares.
But as a pitcher, and I've done it before, get yourself in trouble that way. You know, you got a guy in second, you got a guy that hits you pretty hard, but you got to pitch to the number. The number's 5-0. Go right after him. Now if Lagares takes you out of the ballpark, now you've really changed the complexity of the game.
Pitched Lagares away, struck him out with a slider on the outside corner. Let's see if Lagares makes the adjustment.
Starting off with a slider.
Deepest outfield in baseball, all the way around.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Now Parra didn't used to play that deep. He used to be a guy who played much more shallow.
Must be an organizational thing.
I'm surprised that Parra is in left field, not in right. I mean, LeBron played left field last year. The Parra's got a strong arm.
I think they moved Ron last year to right field. They had Chris Davis playing most of the left.
So the superstar in the paycheck got him. That's why he's in left field.
Good changeup gets Vaughn out in front.
And Lagares pulls one down to third. Ramirez will take it himself to retire the side. An error, a walk, but the Mets strand 2 after 3. 5-0 Brewers. And it is a timeless city, isn't it?
It sure is. Beautiful.
Kyle Loesch leads off against Bartolo Colon in the 4th. Loesch almost had himself a base hit his first time up, and Ruben Tejada made a splendid play to dive and throw him out. First up for 5 runs, 4 of them earned over the first 3 innings. 5 extra base hits against Bartolo tonight. And a little tapper. And Bart comes off the mound and makes the play on Loesch, 1 away. Well, we mentioned earlier that the Brewers, first team to make a managerial change this year. They replaced Ron Renicky when they were 7-18. They're 5-5 since Council took over. A small improvement. You guys have been through managerial changes in midseason before. Does it have an appreciable impact on the team when your manager gets fired in midstream?
I've only been through it once, Gary. You know, Davey Johnson had been here all those years, and I think he and Frank Cashin were just destined to call it quits at some point. And I remember Buddy took over and the team took off. I mean, completely took off. Like we were going to make a run, and then we just disintegrated after a while. But I do know one thing, because Davey had been here so long, there's a sadness to it. You know, you really feel, I don't know, I should say how I felt. How I felt was that you felt sad because you felt responsible for getting the manager fired. And you're like, boy, if we played a little better. I mean, this guy's been here through all our success, and because we didn't play better, he's fired. So.
Twice in my career, Gary, and both with the Cardinals. Vern Rapp was fired midseason, and Ken Boyer came in. That was 1978, I believe. And then when Ken Boyer was fired in 1980, Whitey came in. Nothing significant happened to both clubs. We were having bad years, and we continued to have a bad year. But I know one thing: when both changes were made, the team was playing horribly, and there was just no life in the dugout. And a nice play there by Mr. Flores on the ground ball. But there was just no life, and it was everybody was just like dreading coming to the park, and it wound up. It was no impact at all with the new manager.
I will say though, and you know, no one loves Buddy Harrelson more than me. Maybe you, but Gary. But the one thing that changed when Davey left, I think there was a real import put on Buddy to clean this animal house up. And there was no cleaning up of the animal house. And so we had the great spirit, and then after that, the team stopped listening.
Colon pitches a 1-2-3 fourth. Mets trying to come back against the Brewers. They'll have the big bat of Lucas Duda coming up in the bottom of the 4th inning, trailing 5-0.
Dropped a little loop.
Lucas Duda, first pitch swinging, hits one deep to center. Gomez back on the warning track and reels it in for a long first out.
Well, Lucas has had 2 at bats, hit the ball to the deepest part of the ballpark at 408 in dead central. And look at Gomez pick up the wall here, right there, real quick. Just a split second to find out where he was. Routine.
So 1 pitch and 1 long out for Kyle Loesch to start the home 4th. And now Michael Kadire will fly out to Gomez as well his first time up. Some of the traffic on the Shea Bridge. Taking high, a ball and a strike to Kadire. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve.
Gary, after the loss yesterday in Chicago, Terry Collins called on his veterans to step up, and he was talking about leadership off the field. Certainly Michael Kadire, that's one of the reasons he is here. And he said before the game today that he doesn't think he needs to go in at this point in the season, give any sort of rah-rah speech, but it is necessary that he maintains his cool and gives a good example to the younger kids. The best way that he described it was, think about when you're a child and maybe you're in trouble, you're panicking about something. If you look up at your parents and they're panicking, you kind of lose your mind a little bit. But if they're calm, you know everything's going to be okay. That's what he has to do at this point in time, and maybe from time to time pull over one of the young guys and say, still a lot of season left.
It's a very good analogy right there. And also on top with Kadire struggling, and here he is making another out. He has to make sure that he hustles everything out, set the example on the field, not show any you getting your dauber down in the dugout. You've got to be up above it all for all the young guys that are watching, because you're the veteran.
Let me ask you this, Keith, as a veteran, as a leader, where do you draw the line between panic, which you don't want, and a sense of urgency that you do want? I mean, it's a long season, but the season gets shorter and shorter with each day.
In regard to a team concept or individual?
In terms of the approach that everybody should have on a daily basis. It's a day-by-day game, but, you have to feel like every day is important at the same time, right?
Agreed, but when you have a mixture of young players that are trying to get established, they are the ones that have the self-doubt until they prove themselves. I don't care what you say. They're human beings, and don't think it doesn't bother. Flores would now, with how many errors does he have? Made one tonight. Don't think that doesn't bother him. When you're a veteran and you've gone through it, you just, writers used to always get mad, and it used to make me angry when the writers would say, "Oh, they got a la-di-da attitude, just another day by day. Tomorrow's another day." Well, that's the attitude you got to have. Otherwise, you're going to have a nervous breakdown in July. Right, Ronnie?
Yeah, absolutely. The only issue and I've seen it happen a lot with guys that have come over here later in their career. The only issue I have is that you've had a lot of success, and everyone knows the clock is ticking, including yourself. And if you get off to a slow start, sometimes even the best of them, even the oldest of them, even the most experienced of them will panic a bit, because I've seen so many hitters, and this, mostly the home run hitters, guys who aren't getting around on a pitch, or they're popping it up, and they start to quicken the bat. They start to look in. They start to do things that they've never done in their career. That's when it can become an issue. But it shouldn't be for Kadire, who's a contact, average kind of hitter. I mean, a guy who hits for average, I should say, not average.
Well, there's always a point, too, when you're older, Gary, and your skills are diminishing. And we talked about this before. You begin to doubt whether, okay, I've reached that age now where I can't do the things that I used to be able to do, and I've got to figure it out. Fudge here, a little bit there, look here. You lose a little bit of the quickness, and that negativity and doubt can seep in, and you've really got to overcome it, particularly when you're in a prolonged slump and early in the season, and you're reading the paper as well. As the writers they have a job to do.
The Lions run right to Hector Gomez, and Kyle Loesch does a 1-2-3 bottom of the 4th. Mets still looking for their first hit. Ryan Braun's already had a big night. A fantastic catch. 5-0 Brewers after 4. Bartolo Colon got hit hard early, looking to persevere tonight with his team down 5-0. Takes them out for the 5th inning. The Mets have not had a starting pitcher go less than 5 innings in any start this year. Joel Parra leading off, and he grounds one foul.
Another first pitch swinging.
And it doesn't matter if it's fastball or breaking ball, they're swinging.
Yep.
Parra hit the double that Curtis Granderson misjudged in right field that opened the door for a big inning in the 3rd. This one's in the air to deep right center. Granderson back, takes a look, and that's gone. Gerardo Parra with his 2nd home run of the year. The Brewers with their 2nd home run of the night. And the tattooing continues for Colon. It's now 6-0 Milwaukee.
Well, that pitch that he's been using this entire early part of the season, the one he throws at the lefties, that bends back over the middle of the plate. I'll take that back. They wanted that ball away.
Right down the middle.
And it ended up being middle.
He just hasn't got it tonight, that's all.
Well, he's making that ballpark look little. Powerful stroke from the little man.
Ryan Braun grounds one to Flores. And that's the first out of the inning. 6 extra base hits for the Brewers tonight. 4 doubles and 2 home runs. Braun and now Parra.
Targets outside. It's supposed to be a 2-seamer swinging.
Oh.
Ball ends up middle of the plate in and up.
That'll make a pitcher wince.
Called a double cross for a pitcher. Want it down and away, ends up middle. No good.
Now Adam Lind 1 for 2, a double to left center, his first time up. Ramos Ramirez waits on deck. No, it's all gone wrong for Colon tonight, other than he still hasn't walked about it. Small comfort. Smacked right at Tejada. And Lynn retired for the 2nd out. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Ramos Ramirez, who has celebrated his return to the lineup tonight with an RBI double and a single in his first 2 at bats. Missed 6 games with a back problem, no matter.
To remind all of us to watch next time Bart has to face, next team he'll have to face is St. Louis. Wonder if they'll use the game plan that the Brewers have used against Martin when they face him.
Talk about getting jammed. Ramirez thrown out by Murphy to end the inning. But the Brewers tack one on Gerardo Parra's home run. Halfway through, 6-0 Milwaukee. By your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Wilmer Flores leads off the home fifth against Kyle Loesch, who's yet to allow a base hit. Mets have had only 2 base runners on an error and a walk. Both came in the 3rd inning. Flores robbed of an extra base hit on a great play by Ryan Braun his first time up, and he went around on the half swing, and it's 1-1. Flores, Manel, and Tejada 6, 7, and 8 in the order. Pitcher due up 4th in the inning, so the Mets are getting their bullpen cranking. And a troubled outing for Colon tonight, as Flores loops one into shallow center, and the Mets have their first hit of the night. And then how it always works. He had a bullet his first time up, it got caught. He hits a little dunker, and he gets a hit.
Well, it's a soft line drive here.
You're a charitable man.
Semi-line drive. A little bit towards the label. Hanger up. Flores likes the ball down.
So now Johnny Manel, who was called out on strikes his first time up, getting his first big league start tonight. And with the start, Manel adds his name to the list of catchers who have formed a battery with Bartolo Colon. There are now 35 different catchers who have started the game as Colon's battery mates across the 8 teams that he's played for. Any idea who's caught him the most times? It's a hard one.
It's a hard one, huh?
Would have been in his Cleveland days.
I was thinking Junior, but
Junior is second on the list. Sandy Alomar Jr.
Got me. So it's before Sandy.
No, it was
no,
after.
it was after Sandy. Yeah, a lot of it was after Sandy.
This guy caught him 85 games. Sandy Alomar caught him 61. Alex Torres up in the Mets bullpen. 1-1 to Manel with Ruben Tejada on deck. Down the left field side and out of play. The answer to the question is Einar Diaz.
Oh, I would never. Oh, yeah. I mean, it makes sense now that I hear it, but I would never have gotten it, ever.
And the Molina brothers are 3rd and 4th on the list. Jose is 3rd. Benji is 4th. Not Yachty. So Manel number 35 now on that list of Cologne starting battery mates. 1-2 from Loesch, and he hits a slow ground ball down to first, and Lynn will have to make the play to first. Manel retired. Flores down to second, 1 away. Fifth inning recap brought to you by JetBlue. Brewers barraging Bartolo Colon tonight. Ryan Braun, a 2-run homer. Solo shot off the bat of Gerardo Parra. Kyle Loesch has allowed just 1 hit. And the Brewers have had the best of it tonight, up 6-0.
You know, you guys were that close.
That's 3 generations of Mets together there. Hernandez, Harvey,
right.
and Braun.
And the youngest one's going bald.
Go figure. Tejada swings over the breaking ball. John Mayberry's come out on deck to bat for Bartolo Colon, so Colon's night appears to be over after 5 innings. Having given up 6 runs, 5 earned on 7 hits, a couple of home runs. Tejada reached on an error his first time up. Loesch picks off that outside corner with the slider, and it's 0-2.
There's Joe LaFay, the advanced scout for the Giants, with that ring they won last season. How big is that, Keith?
Yep. Joe LaFay, of course, with the Padres. I remember him most. Was a 4th outfielder, left-hand hitter.
Tejada struck out on 3 pitches. Loesch got him with a changeup for his 4th strikeout.
Remember, Joe LaFay played with the Philadelphia Phillies. And in 1984, the last day of spring training, he came around 3rd and he ran over John Gibbons, who was going to be the starting catcher for the Mets that season. Gibbons was never the same. The Mets traded for Carter next year. Gibbons now the manager for the Blue Jays. But more importantly, class organization, class act. San Francisco Giants gave one of those rings when they were in Houston playing the Astros to Monty Irvin, who was 90 years old, for his great service for the New York Giants, then eventually the San Francisco Giants.
Giants have won 3 World Series in the last 5 years. It has been a fantastic run over the last half-decade. Well, here's Mayberry.
Monty Irvin, who for baseball fans will remember, he was there when Willie came up and was asked really to be a mentor to Willie Mays.
Oh, very fine man, gentleman.
Mayberry lifts one to shallow right. And Ryan Braun comes in to grab it, and the Mets are turned aside in the bottom of the 5th. They get their first hit, but Loesch has them shut out over 5. Making the final out in that bottom of the 5th inning. A little unusual here.
Watch his back foot, folks. You usually drive off your back foot. There's the toe. I mean, he lifts his leg, his foot, and it's hard to see how you can hit doing that, because that's your anchor. That's what you drive off of. And then you take your stride and it counterbalances your stride. You always have the weight on the inside, your heel, your arch side of your foot. So when you stride, it prevents you from lunging. But boy, that's the anchor back there, that back foot.
Alex Torres in to pitch the 6th inning. It's been a challenge for Alex lately to throw strikes.
Let's just say I ran a couple times to the refrigerator during those innings when he was struggling.
Scooter Gennett, the first man to face him, has struck out and flied out. And Torres quickly falls behind him 2-0. Martin Maldonado and Kyle Loesch behind Gennett for the Brewers here in the 6th. Milwaukee got a run in the 2nd, 4 in the 3rd, 1 in the 5th against Bartolo Colon. 7 hits, 6 of the 7 for extra bases. And Torres finally gets a strike. The 6-run deficit the Mets are looking at right now matches their largest deficit of the season. Sunday on Jets Nation, head to Louisiana to see where it all began for Damon Snacks Harrison, how he persevered despite the odds being against him, on an all-new Jets Nation Sunday at 7 only on SNY. Final line on Colon: 5 innings, 7 hits, 6 runs, 5 earned, no walks, 2 strikeouts, 2 home runs. So he's now gone 45 1/3 innings without allowing a walk. Just 2 1/3 shy of the Mets club record. Small comfort on a otherwise miserable night for Bartolo. You see the starters comparison brought to you by People's United Bank. And Gennett takes off the plate. 3-2. Torres with 10 walks in 11 1/3 innings. He is the anti-Colon. And Gennett pulls one foul.
You know, he's a very difficult pitcher to analyze, and I've tried to watch him because he will follow 2 pitches that are not in the neighborhood area code of the plate with a perfect pitch on the corner or a changeup that has great movement. It's very hard to find a rhyme or reason to his wildness.
Pull to the right side. Torres has to hustle over to cover. 3-1 put out for the first out. Now, is that a matter of release point, Ronnie?
I think what happens, Gary, and this happens a lot of times, and you can't let it at this level. If he gets behind a hitter, he starts to aim the baseball. And the only way you can play at this level is that if you get behind, you got to let it go. Because if you let it go, all that practice that you had from a young man to this time, it'll put it where it's supposed to be, or at least it'll hit the heart of the plate. But when you start to aim it, you cut it off, you don't push off, you don't follow through. You know, there's 4 or 5 things that happen, and that's when you end up in a big run.
Here's Martin Maldonado, who's flied out in his 2 at-bats, 0 for 2. Pulled down to third. Murphy with a nice backhand stop, and the long throw just in time to get Maldonado. Fine play by Murphy for the 2nd out.
Well, Murph almost took a little bit too much time like he did in that one play in Chicago. But a strong arm and just did get him. Nice stretch by Lucas, coming on the tip of the bag. Well done.
Fortunately for Murphy, had Martin Maldonado and not Chris Bryant running this time.
That's right. But that being said, I was talking about Torres, guys. No better time than to have him. They need him to get right. So no better time than to throw him in a game like this and work on it in a major league game. Get it right.
Well, right now, with the Mets bullpen constituted the way it is, with Familia the shining star and then 6 other guys, those 6 really at this point are all interchangeable. And I think it's whoever's hot who's going to get the most important, highest leverage innings right now.
Well, it'll be interesting. I think Mr. Goodell, Eric Goodell, might get some interesting innings coming up in this homestand because he's gone out there 12 times, hasn't given up a run. So, you know, if it's a meritocracy, he certainly has moved up a bit.
1-2 to Loesch, and it does not appear as though help is imminent. Bobby Parnell's getting moved up to Las Vegas on his rehab assignment, but his velocity is still down. Sandy Alderson was talking today about how concerning that still is. They're hoping that, you know, moving up a higher level, maybe the velocity will start to show. But right now, Parnell is not major league ready.
He's in low 90s, right?
Yeah. 1-2 to Loesch, and he struck him out with the changeup. So 1-2-3 inning for Alex Torres. Mets will come up in the bottom of the 6th, looking to generate some offense against Loesch, trailing 6-0. Queens beyond. Which Mets starter had the fewest walks in a single season? Our Verizon trivia question.
I was going to guess Randy Jones. No?
Rick Reed, that's good.
That's a good one.
He was a strike thrower.
Oh, there's Citi Field.
Third time around the batting order for Kyle Loesch. Keith just realized where he is. That's what 10 days off will do to him.
You never look back when you're getting into your car.
Granderson has struck out and walked tonight, 0 for 1. Granderson, Lagares, and Duda against Loesch, has given up just 1 hit over the first 5 innings.
Maldonado is a big catcher. So what do you have to do if you're a big catcher with a sinker ball pitcher? You got to get down. You got to give him a low target. And he can't do it with his body because he's just too big of a man. So he'll get down on his knee. He'll give a target. Used to see Pudge Rodriguez do those kind of things to make sure that his pitcher's got a nice low target, knees or below.
And that slider misses high, 3-1. Now, how come he'll get down on some pitches and stay up on others?
Well, that was a 2-1 count there, so we need a strike. So sometimes if you get down, say to yourself, even if you catch it out of the strike zone, it's a good pitch.
Popped up. Maldonado shedding the mask. Puts it away for the first out.
Well, I could be wrong there. That was a 3-1 count. He still got on his knees.
I think he gets on his knees, Ron, when a fastball's coming, and I think he stays in the crouch with a breaking ball because it might be in the dirt, you know, or a changeup, a secondary pitch, or he may have to move a little bit.
And is that something a team could scout and exploit?
Well, you don't want to do it. Well, yes, absolutely.
I mean, if you're watching from the dugout and you see that pattern, couldn't you alert the hitter?
Maybe he just gets tired. Like every once in a while, he just gets tired. Go to a knee. Take a knee.
I would not want to be a catcher.
Lagares has struck out and hit into a force play. Charging Hector Gomez, throwing on the run in time to get Lagares for the second out.
You know, I'd be remiss. You guys, I think we're in Chicago. It was Yogi's, 90th birthday?
Yes.
I'd like to say happy birthday to Yogi because I wasn't on the air, and just a wonderful guy.
Remember, when I watch Maldonado, he reminds me, not the same body, but you remember our friend Keith Jr. Ortiz? Junior used to catch like that. He used to get and almost do the splits to get you to throw the ball as low as you could.
Did you see that right before that pitch what Maldonado did? Like break off a curveball.
Like snap it.
Yeah. I mean, again, if he's doing that before the pitch, couldn't somebody in the Mets dugout alert the hitter?
That would be a little bit late. And boy, another pop-up. Everything in the air.
Who's going to take this one? And it's Ramirez on the mound to get it. Side retired. It's like, here's a sign for the curve. Snap that curve.
This is like amateur ball.
I like it. You go. Cohen and Howie Rose. SNY is looking for teams of 2 fans to compete against the very best. Think you have what it takes to outsmart Gary and Howie, the brains of the booth, and win $5K? Then come to Citi Field for SNY's Open audition for Beat the Booth, presented by Citi. Saturday, May 16th, starting at 9 a.m. That's tomorrow.
That's right.
Yeah. You going to be here for the audition?
No, but I'll be here for the game.
I never hear you say 5K. I usually hear you on the phone saying 5 dimes. I never hear you 5K.
Oh, look at that slugger. Couple sluggers. He needs a bat.
2-0 to Hector Gomez, leading off the 7th inning. 2-1. Well, we mentioned it's Fedora night tomorrow night, and since the three of us didn't really want to model the fedora, we had Russ do it for us, and I think Russ sports it very nice.
Oh, I like him with the Stan Laurel tip of the cap. Very nice.
Very good.
Yeah, Russ looks good in that cap. If you want to get in trouble, Russ, you can wear that cap. You can go anywhere. No one's going to know you.
Got a little Sinatra feel to him with the fedora.
Maybe Monday after golf, we can go out, you know.
I'm glad somebody wore the hat and wore it,
looks
dashing.
Yeah, it looks great.
2-2 from Torres, and he comes inside to Gomez, 3-2.
This young man has quite an athletic body, doesn't he? Reminds me of when we see Michael Taylor for the Washington Nationals. Long and lean, 6'3".
Lined. Nice. Flores on the backhand, 1 out.
Good reaction off the bat. Watch Flores. Left your screen. It's a lot easier for the middle infielders and the center fielder to read the ball off the bat than it is for the corner outfielders and the corner infielders.
Why is that?
Because it's more of a frontal view, Gare, where the corner, particularly the infield, first and third, you're looking almost at a right angle, you know, and it's a little tougher to read.
By the way, I have a bulletin. Carlos Gomez took a pitch.
He didn't want to. He didn't want to. It was inside, up and in.
Well, he could have swung it. But the first pitch in play, all 3 at bats tonight. 1 for 3, doubled, and drove in a run back in the 3rd. Always smells the bat after the foul ball.
That's some serious bat speed.
He's very strong. Look at his legs. He's extremely strong. Bottom half. Gets up on his toes. I like the fact that he hasn't got a big wide open stance, and his legs are closer together. Oh,
turns that one around.
He's got a very, very fast bat.
It's hard to believe that it was 8 years ago that Carlos Gomez came up with the Mets in 2007. Part of the package the Mets sent to Minnesota to acquire Johan Santana. And really never found his footing in Minnesota.
The telltale moment is when he was with the Mets and he went to Minnesota. Everybody, because of his speed, wanted him to hit the ball on the ground, learn how to bunt, hit line drives. He finally made it to Milwaukee, and after not being successful in either of the 3 places, traded early as a Met, so you can't really count that. He went to Ron Renneke, the manager, said, "Ron, can I just let me be myself for a month? Let me hit how I think I can hit, how I can be a good player." And Ron said, "Well, what kind of player is that?" He goes, "I can't bunt. I'm not a guy who hit it on the ground. I'm a guy who gets in there, is aggressive, is going to catch everything in center field, and I'm going to hit the ball out of the park for you." And it changed his entire career. So a career spent with baseball men telling him how he's supposed to play. He took onus for his own career, and it's changed it forever.
That's a great story right there. Struck him out.
Second strikeout for Torres, has retired 5 in a row. Well, we have some bad news for the Mets if 6-0 wasn't bad enough. Dilson Herrera scratched from the lineup tonight after taking a ground ball off his finger. Turns out he has a fractured tip of his right middle finger, and he'll be placed on the disabled list. So,
jeez.
Dilson Herrera headed to the 15-day DL.
Running out of soldiers.
I wonder whether that will spark a recall of Matt Reynolds.
slashed the other way, and that's a base hit for Parra, his third hit of the night. Kadire to the line to play, and he's going to challenge him. The throw off the bag, and Tejada puts the tag on Parra for the third out. So Parra challenging Kadire, who guns him down. 7-4 on the putout to retire the side. Nice play by Kadire, and he got it there in plenty of time, and then Tejada did the rest. Parra never able to get to the bag. 7th inning stretch, 6-0 Milwaukee. Kadire leading off in the home 7th. Mets down 6-0. Kadire 0 for 2 tonight, and he takes off the plate from Kyle Loesch, 1-1. Loesch is alive, just one hit, a 5th inning single to Wilmer Flores, and Kadire hooks one foul, 1-2. Game 2 of this series tomorrow night. Our coverage begins at 6 o'clock right here on SNY. Jacob deGrom will go for the Mets, trying to bounce back from a rough outing in Chicago. He'll be opposed by Matt Garza. Toward the middle of the diamond, Hector Gomez with a fire to first. Boy, he's got a good arm. And Kadire retired, 1 out.
He's got a strong arm and loves to show it.
Well, that time he had to.
If you guys can remember the Brooklyn native Sean Dunston life.
Carlos Torres up in the Mets bullpen. Alex Torres turning in 2 good innings tonight. Let's need both of the Torreses to get back on the beam. Here's Murphy, who's 0 for 2. Fly down and line down. Wilmer Flores on deck. He has the Mets' only hit tonight. Well, a milestone moment in Texas tonight for one of the most underrated players in baseball. Adrian Beltre tonight hit his 400th career home run.
Wow. Congratulations to him.
Wouldn't even know it. Deep in the vaults of the KGB.
I mean, he's probably the best fielding third baseman of his generation.
I'm a big fan of the ball player, and that's the guy who plays defense and offense, runs the bases, all the little things. But yeah, as good a defensive third baseman as I've ever seen.
And I would say, you know, it's kind of a stealth career, but you have to think about Adrian Beltre as a legitimate Hall of Fame candidate.
You and I were talking about it about 5-6 years ago, maybe more. He was that player who only had a big year in his walk year. Had the big home runs in Los Angeles to get that big contract in Seattle. And since he's been to Texas, he's been comfortable. He's got tremendous power to right center where the ball really flies out of there. But he has emerged as, I believe, a Hall of Fame candidate. Absolutely. I think he'll definitely be in the Hall of Fame.
How old is he now? Do we know?
Started when he was 19. I do not know. Get Dave Fried on that. Come on, Dave. You should have anticipated that, I think.
He is, well, he's giving me his birthday. Now I have to calculate. He's 36. He's the same age as Aramis Ramirez.
Doesn't even do the math.
Well, he's not good at math. He's a statistician.
But we show him with the bobblehead. We show him with the bobblehead with the calculator.
I told you his number is pi, and the only pie he knows is lemon meringue.
Folks, don't you just love Gary's sense of humor? I think Gary is just hilarious.
3-2 to Murphy, and he smacks another one foul. No, there he is, number pi.
Oh, gosh. With the calculator.
It's hard to keep track of numbers when your head is bobbling.
He's got that smirk, too.
Folks at home, we love Dave. You know, it doesn't sound like it, but we really do.
It's just Gary and Dave that have an issue. Ronnie and I like Dave.
Murphy cracks one into right field. Braun's not going to get this one. It bounces up against the wall. Murphy into second base, broke it down and settles for a double. His 9th double of the year. Probably could have had 3 bases if he had his heart in it.
Well, you're down 6 runs. Off-speed pitch was what has been Loesch's pitch. He's really had great command of his off-speed pitches.
By the way, that was Daniel Murphy's Adrian Beltre tribute, going down to one knee.
That's what Beltre does when he hits a breaking ball for a home run. He sometimes drops back on his back knee.
So the Mets have their second hit of the night, and now Wilmer Flores, who had the first, a bloop single to center in the 5th after being robbed of an extra base hit by Braun back in the 2nd. That's trying to get on the board here in the 7th against Loesch, who has been in firm command.
We'll take a look at the swing. Change up, too much plate, stays back, almost twists his front ankle on his right side. And it's hard to get Daniel on an offer.
Flores to shallow right center, and Gomez is there. Murphy's going to stay put, and there are 2 out.
Oh, that's right. Tomorrow's a big race.
Preakness tomorrow, American Pharoah.
Fair favorite. Favorite will take it. There'll be another Belmont with a chance for a triple crown.
That's what the NYRA people want to hear.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Here's Johnny Manel, 0 for 2 in his first major league start. Murphy at second and 2 out. Well, if you missed the news the last half inning, Dilson Herrera is going on the disabled list for the Mets with a fractured tip of his right finger. Suffered during batting practice today.
That is just really unfortunate, because I think Herrera has a very bright future.
Well, it certainly provides the Mets with an opportunity right now. That's lined down the right field line, foul. I mean, there's been so much talk about Wilmer Flores and what's gone on with him at shortstop. They have a chance right now, if they want to make a change. They can bring up Matt Reynolds to take Herrera's spot on the roster, put Reynolds at short, and move Flores to second base. That's an option that they have, at least until David Wright comes back.
I think it'll probably be an option that they will take.
Now they could also play Reynolds at second. They could play Tejada at second. I don't know what they have in mind, but if they wanted to make a change, this certainly provides them the window to do that. Reynolds hitting .296 in 34 games at Vegas. 2 homers, 26 RBIs. 0-2 to Manel is up and away, 1-2.
Ronnie, a pitcher like Loesch, 2-4 ERA over 7. It's 8th start, and you have an outing like this where you feel like you're getting it together.
I think it's even more than that. I think that there probably were some glimpses of him getting it together, but he couldn't keep the ball in the ballpark. He's done it tonight. I bet you he runs 4 or 5 in a row. We'll watch.
Strikes out Manel with a slider, his 5th strikeout of the night. He's got 7 scoreless, 6-0 Milwaukee.
The one he hit at Dodger Stadium.
That was.
I've never seen anybody leave the ballpark ever. In my 17 years.
I know it's happened a few years, but I've never seen it myself personally either.
Never seen anybody leave the ballpark like he did.
Second Torres of the night for the Mets as Carlos comes in.
Well, almost a little bit like Alex, an opportunity in a game like this to get that cutter right, down and on the corner.
It's been a rough outing, a rough go of it for Torres. He had the game 2 nights ago in Chicago where he gave up the tying run in the 8th, wound up being charged with the winning run in the 9th. Ryan Braun's second on the all-time Milwaukee Brewers home run list behind Hall of Famer Robin Yount. That's today's game changer, brought to you by T-Mobile. Prince Fielder has a home run for Texas tonight. That doesn't count on the list. 2-2 to Braun. Braun's home run tonight was his 7th of the year. He hit it in the second deck in left field. It was a clout.
That's an old ball.
It is indeed. It's got the wrong signature. Mr. Manfred's signature should be on the balls being used today.
That's got Mr. Selig.
Two from Torres, and Braun golfs one in the air to right center. Pretty well hit. Back goes Granderson near the wall, and it's out of here. Second home run of the night for Ryan Braun, his 8th of the year. And now it's 7-0 Milwaukee.
Ballpark looking little tonight for the Brewers.
Pretty impressive. A one to left field, a bomb. And now
just a line drive, Keith.
This is a hanging slider over the middle and looking to go that way all the way and driving it.
Second time this year Braun's had 2 home runs in a game. He's also made a great catch in right field tonight, so quite a night for Braun.
Another guy with his feet close together and uses his lower body as well as his upper body. And just kept his shoulder in.
Funny thing about his swing from that angle we just saw, lack of follow through. He really stops the bat as soon as he makes contact.
He's got a stiff follow through.
Yeah,
he's very stiff.
Unusual.
Well, you've always said that about Chase Utley too,
yes.
right?
Yep. Very good, Garrett. It's excellent.
Lind is out on strikes, and that's the first out of the inning. Aramis Ramirez coming up. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Gary, kind of a rough first major league start for Johnny Manel. Struck out 10 that last inning, but you know, you be around him enough, you're around him enough, and you get the sense that he's a really confident guy, maybe more so than someone who really is getting their first main taste of the major league should be. But when he was talking to me about that today, he said, my favorite quote is, pressure is a lack of preparation. He loves positive quotes and affirmations like that. Actually, this offseason, took out a sheet of paper, started writing a bunch of them down as well as goals for himself. Thinks it's really helped this season as he gets to the major league level and has accomplished one of those goals.
Aramis Ramirez picks up his 3rd hit of the night.
That makes 2 Brew Crew that have 3 hits. Parra 3 for 4 also.
And Ramirez, just back from a week on the sidelines, will come out of the game now. And Elian Herrera, who did quite a job filling in for Ramirez, hitting home runs in 3 straight games, will run for Ramirez.
Day's done. 3 knocks. We'll have a cerveza. Done.
Oh, really? That's right. It's not travel day.
So Herrera, the pinch runner, and Scooter Gennett, the batter. And he takes a strike. Scooter Gennett last month, during the baseball season, married his longtime girlfriend. They were supposed to have an outdoor wedding in Milwaukee with a helicopter and everything, but it was a stormy day.
Okay.
They got married in the caves underneath the Miller Brewery in Milwaukee.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Did they have a little high life?
I would assume there was appropriate celebration.
Champagne and beers.
Don't tell that to the Bush family. That was their arch enemies.
It was.
When Anheuser-Busch.
We're not in St. Louis.
I know, but when Augie Bush, when the Bush family owned Budweiser, old man Bush couldn't get itself, it being the old and stodgy, couldn't get himself into light beer. So
back to Torres, out at second. Flores turns it over.
So much for that story.
I was going to give you a chance to finish.
Sounded great.
So we're moving on to the bottom of the 8th. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Kyle Loesch has gone the distance, and he has been terrific. He's allowed just 2 hits, walked only 1, struck out 5. Ruben Tejada leads off in the home 8th and takes outside ball 1.
Hasn't walked anybody. Oh, walked one batter. I'm sorry, Granderson. So fine performance from Loesch.
93 pitches through 7. Tejada flies 1 foul, and it's 1-1.
The 2-hit shutout, he doesn't have many, is his specialty.
Kurt Neuenhuis out on deck to pinch hit, and then Curtis Granderson for the Mets in the 8th.
I believe he's done it 3 times in his career. Looking for win 145. Clayton Kershaw going for win 100 tonight. Tried 4 times, hasn't been able to get it.
Dodgers also get their closer Kenley Jansen back tonight. He's been out all season.
There's an article in the paper today about Mattingly. I believe it was by Joel Sherman in the Post about what a nice job Mattingly's done with that bullpen and the injuries, as well as the injuries to their everyday players. Dodgers, of course, off to a hot start.
Well, you can scratch the conversation we had earlier about Matt Reynolds coming up. He's not. Eric Campbell is being called up to take Dilson Herrera's spot on the roster. So apparently the Mets will stay with the status quo, and I guess that means either Murph goes back to second and Campbell plays third, or Tejada will play every day until Wright is ready. Up and into Tejada, 3-2.
Or they both can play.
Yeah, they'll shuffle them around.
Shuffle, in and out.
But I guess the bottom line on that news is that Flores is not moving. He's staying put at shortstop. Three-2 to Ruben, and he crowds him. It foul tipped off the bat and went in the glove. I think that's what the call was from the home plate umpire Manny Gonzalez.
I don't know, Gary, if he foul tipped it or Manny said he swung on the pitch.
I don't think he swung.
I don't think he swung either, but watch the mannerisms of Manny Gonzalez.
Didn't
hit the ball, but see how he's looking at the bat? Let's stay on Manny if we can, guys.
That is not a swing.
And watch his actions. If he points, that means he's saying he went around. There it is.
Yep.
You went around.
You got the point.
Thanks, guys, for staying with that. Awesome.
6 strikeouts for Loesch, who starts Neuenhuis with a curveball for a strike. Well, it's been a nightmare at the plate for Neuenhuis. 3 for 34 to start the season. Got a couple of starts when Lagares was injured in Chicago, and he finds himself in a quick 2-strike hole here.
Boy, Loesch's changeup has just been devastating to this Met lineup.
Now the 1-2 to Neuenhuis, and that is foul tipped and held by Maldonado. See the difference in the call?
Yes.
7 strikeouts
She's the umpire
for Loesch. Hey, Cleon Jones is here.
He could hit.
New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Citi, proud partner of the New York Mets, and Art Shamsky and Wayne Garrett. By State Farm. Today's State Farm agent of the game is Hector Camillo of the Bronx. Contact Hector at hectorcamillo.com. And by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com today.
Who was the right-hand hitter number 4, Gare? They showed number.
Swoboda.
That was Swoboda. Okay.
I was reading when
Oh, I know. But I'd give you the number. I knew you'd know it.
Thank you.
I'm just getting you ready for that game show.
Yeah. Number 4 is in Met history.
Keith, maybe you and I can try out. I'll meet you here at 9 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
And Granderson strikes out on a foul tip. And Loesch strikes out the side of the 8th. Let's keep going. Here's Seaver.
There. Hold on. Don't go to break.
Crane pull.
More. I want more.
Swoboda!
Jerry.
After you guys are done, it's Geico Sports Night, and we'll hear from the Rangers and Chris Carlin and Keith's mustache. Oh wait, Clyde! Clyde's going to be part of this conversation by Keith's mustache. That's outstanding. Martin Maldonado takes a curveball for a strike from Sean Gilmartin as we start the top of the ninth.
Sean's numbers. Clyde will be the proliferation of hair above Keith's hair.
Now wait a second. Did we trade Sean Gilmartin? Did we not just show Sean Gilmartin as a Milwaukee Brewer in that graphic? Now wait a second. I know the wheels are coming off, but
I know we're impressed with Hector Gomez, but I didn't know we got him already.
Folks, I often worry what goes on in games like this in that truck.
You know what it is? Those guys love to eat.
They do.
Murphy throws out Maldonado one away. Oh, you can breathe easier now. Gilmartin remains a Met. And the record's still the same.
Same numbers, though.
Yeah. So Kyle Loesch apparently is not going to get to finish this game. Jason Rogers is going to bat for him. Loesch threw 107 pitches in 8 innings, working on a 2-hit shutout, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts, and he will step back for the 9th inning. And big Jason Rogers will pinch hit for him. And some rain is beginning to fall.
I told you we're going to get rain all night.
I didn't notice that, by the way.
I was looking in the.
Murphy on the backhand throws out Rogers, 2 out. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Hector Gomez, who's gone 0 for 3 tonight, reached on there and scored a run back in the 3rd. Brewers got 1 in the 2nd, 4 in the 3rd against Bartolo Colon. Then Gerardo Parra added a home run in the 5th. Ryan Braun hit his 2nd home run of the night in the 8th. And the route was on. Curveball from Gilmartin in for a strike. Michael Blazek is up in the Brewers bullpen. Rookie who's been very impressive so far.
Yeah, he throws hard. Great name for the way he throws, right?
Blazek, yeah. Hear a name like that, I'm always reminded of the great women's basketball player Carol Blazejowski.
That's right.
Played at Montclair State. She was one of the first great women's superstars.
Was she the same time as Nancy Lieberman or right before?
Right about the same time. Nancy played at Queens College.
That's right.
Curveball line. One hopper. Flores knocks it down. Recovers. Throws out Gomez to end the inning. So Gilmartin throws a 1-2-3 inning with 3 ground balls. Mets will try and crack the scoreboard when we go to the bottom of the 9th. To call a Mets game on SNY, just go to sny.tv/Kitcaster. Submit an essay on the topic provided, and you'll be entered in the SNY Kitcaster contest presented by New York's 529 College Savings Program. Last of the ninth inning. The Jeep line score not kind to the Mets, who are on the brink of their 5th straight loss.
What did the rules say there? Did the rules say that you had to be 18 or younger? Did you see the fine print? Well, you couldn't because you were reading. You could have like a 17-year-old dude up here.
I guess that would still qualify as a kid, a minor.
I was not a minor when I was 17.
You weren't?
No.
You were an experienced veteran?
I was not experienced, but I was not a minor.
Special dispensation?
Just trying to read the rules.
Michael Blasek pitching the ninth inning for the Brewers.
Boy, he's been outstanding for them in that bullpen. Really throws hard. Good breaking ball. And has been throwing strikes this year.
Had a little big league time with St. Louis before he came to the Brewers in 2013. 26 years old, Las Vegas native. 1-2 to Lagares, is 0 for 3 tonight, and he taps one foul. So Kyle Lohse goes 8 innings, allows no runs, 2 hits, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. Now, in the first 32 games this year, only once did an opposing starter go 8 innings against the Mets. It's now happened 3 times in the last 4 days.
That's right, Arrieta, Hamill in the Cup Series.
And now Lohse.
Well,
and Lagares down on strikes to start the last of the night. Well, the Mets limped home after that 4-game series against the Cubs, losing all 4 games, and there has been little go right for them tonight.
Well, their bats have gone south, and collectively. And there you go. That says it all right there. It's Excedrin headache number 54.
It's going to be 13 times in 17 games that the Mets will have scored 3 or fewer unless they have a big rally here in the ninth. Here's Duda. Lucas 0 for 3 tonight. A 5th inning leadoff hit for Wilmer Flores. A 7th inning 1-out double for Daniel Murphy. The only 2 hits for the Mets tonight.
Keith, I'm going to ask you silly questions. So this is obviously a difficult evening. You lost one of your players. You're getting shut out. Your best pitcher, not best pitcher, but pitcher with the best record, has a tough day. You're the manager. Is there anything good in having a meeting? I know you don't like meetings. I don't like meetings either. I mean, it's on the players to play at some point, but anything good come out of it?
I don't think a meeting is called for. It's the first home game. If things don't get righted in this first series, then possibly. You got the Cardinals coming in for 4.
Yeah.
And you go for a tough weekend series over Memorial Day weekend in Pittsburgh.
Well, it certainly puts a lot of onus on the Mets' young starting pitchers. DeGrom tomorrow, Syndergaard Sunday, Harvey Monday. Because right now this team isn't catching it well, and they're not hitting it very well. Duda pulls one into the shift. Jeanette with the pickup off the grass. 2 out.
That was a pretty good pick right there. That was not easy.
Well, you shouldn't get any bad hops in the outfield grass, but that was an in-between backhand, a hop on the backhand.
But Keith, will it skip a little bit on you on that grass?
If it's not wet.
Okay.
Only when it's wet it can scoop. Pretty true hop.
Well, the Mets have only been shut out twice this year. That came in back-to-back games against the Nationals, a couple of 1-0 losses. And they're 1 out away from getting shut out tonight. Michael Kadire 0 for 3. Takes a strike.
Nationals lost one of their starters.
That's true. Doug Fister went on the DL today with forearm tightness. I always worry when I hear forearm tightness because sometimes that's a precursor to elbow problem.
Connected to the elbow, right?
Down to their final strike. Kadire takes the curve outside, 1-2.
Well, this kid works awfully fast for a bullpen guy. Most bullpen guys take their time. Kind of, it's a big deal in between every pitch. He gets it and throws it.
And Kadire tried to hold and did, and that keeps the game alive. 2-2. Fewest hits the Mets have had in a game this year is 3. They've been held to just 2 tonight. To the right side, and now they have 3. Kadire with a 2-out single.
He's been trying to get himself to stay back and go to right field. Finally does right there on a good slider away. So you just hope that get that one at bat. Still reaching a little bit, but good idea right there.
So Kadire at first. Lind will play behind him. Murphy had a double his last time up. 1 for 3 on the night. And Blazek finds the inside corner. 0-1.
Yeah, that ball's on the inside corner, Daniel.
Kadire runs. He'll take second on defensive indifference. And now a 2-strike count to Murphy. Jacob deGrom tomorrow night against Matt Garza on Mets Fedora night. Pulled to the right side. Jeanette with another backhand play, and that'll do it. Kyle Loesch holds the Mets to 2 hits over